Hello. Quote of the week. Children have never been very good at listening to their elders, but they have never failed to imitate them. James Baldwin. Hi and welcome everybody. It's Jason Barlow, RMT, and I'm here today as your therapist and as your coach to help you transform any stress, tension, and pain into health, happiness, and vitality instead. This is one of my all-time favorite quotes, especially being a parent of four busy boys, now aged 17, 15, and twins that are 13. That's right. I got a household filled with teenage hormones, teenage brains, teenage behaviors, you name it. And we've just entered into our summer break here in Canada. And so life is going to get interesting for the next few weeks. Now, thankfully, COVID's starting to appear relaxed as we get to July 1st, where we are in Alberta. Things are relaxing a bit more, and hopefully we're able to get out and do far more things, and that's starting to happen, which is good to kind of quench their desires and fulfill what it is they wish to fulfill in their life. And for me, that's one of my driving forces. Being a parent is to help them lead a life that is filled with, guess what? Health, happiness, and vitality. Everything that I'm learning and yearn to learn more about is something I'm passionate about in how I strive. I'm not perfect to parent my kids. And this quote, when I came across it probably just about a year ago, really resonated with me because I especially parents out there, and even if you're not a parent, maybe mimetically you are at a workplace, you're a boss, or you have difficult situations coming up in other scenarios, or your own family, your siblings, your parents, and so forth. This carries across not just our children, but all people. Human behavior is fascinating to me. So where I was going with that is that as a father of teenage boys, they're getting to the stage, and some more than others, where they challenge you, they question you, and they're quick to retort, and they come up with some pretty witty, strong, quick answers that are like, man, that caught me off guard. How am I going to tackle that one? And thankfully, somebody just last week gave me another tactic to help deal with that. I'm going to deal with that later. Is another resource that we could go to. But ultimately, there's times where my kids don't listen to me, and I'm striving to get a message across them, and I'm learning still, right? Just stop, right? They're in a state of mind that they're not ready to even receive that great piece of wisdom that you feel you're about to provide them with. So why spurt it out when it's not even going to be received? The vessel is not open. It's got sealed tight, and they've walking away. It's not ready to be accepted. So what is the solution? Well, first and foremost, recognize, as I've shared before and I'll share again, there's two types of problem. And this is a Buddhist point of view. Two types of problem. Outer problem, they're not listening. Inner problem, you're frustrated. That's the most important problem. You have no direct control. And yes, we may argue, well, you should have. They're under 18. They're living in your house. Yes, but depending upon your style of parenting, and I'm not going to the extremes, there's boundaries, right? There's parameters that we fall within from a social point of view, from an ethical point of view, from a morals discipline point of view, to help them raise them in a loving environment. And that to me is absolutely critical. Number one is the loving environment. And so it presents an opportunity for me to tackle my own mind. This frustrated mind that's coming up is teaching me something. If I am good at tackling my own inner frustration, guess what? Based on this quote, and I love it, is if I can show them that I can deal with that frustration and how they're handling my situation or our situation right now, then I'm laying down a seed for them to illustrate, hey, you don't have to rant and blurt and go at it strong with anger or angry minds. There's another way of dealing with it. And so that to me is far, far deeper in regards of an imprint that you're putting in your children's minds, that all of this can be beneficial on some level. And we think that the more we do, the better it's going to be. And sometimes that's actually seemingly counterproductive, especially when they're walking away from you and they're not listening. They're not in tune. The radio frequency is on a completely different line. We've got to become skillful at recognizing that and just zip it. And I know it's hard, and I'm still working on it. Like I said, zip it, because children have never been very good at listening to their elders, but they have never failed to imitate them. And this is one of my favorites. There's times for sure when I've judged, am I even being a good father right now based on how they've responded? And naively, I always thought that they would just listen, to everything you had to say. After all, I made them together with my wife, so they're my products. My products should be listening to me. But, again, think of anyone you know, and if you know them well enough, observe, if you can, how their parents live their lives. Not always, but very often, they are a reflection of their parents. Their dispositions, reactions, perspectives, and the way that they lead and handle their lives is commonly quite aligned to their parents, good or bad. So how can we as parents ensure that our kids have the type of life we'd like for them to have? Because in all honesty, when we wake up in the morning, even if we don't recognize it, we want to go through our day without any problems. We want to have a happy, healthy way of life, our body filled with energy, vitality, to be able to do the things that we'd like to be able to do and the things that we need to do, right? Fulfilling the needs of our family, fulfilling the needs of our day-to-day basics, right? From food and shelter and so forth. So what is it? What is it? How can we, as parents, ensure that our kids have the type of life we'd like for them to have? Be the change. It's a beautiful quote that's complementary to this, is that Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see in the world. Let them see and feel through their own experience what that change can look like for themselves through you. You then become a mirror for your children to see how they can choose to handle difficulties, challenging people, problems that come up, because those inner outer problems are never going to end. We think we've got them all lined up. If only when, right? We got all these things. When all of these things calibrate and equal, then I'll be happy. Life, if you've noticed, does not work like that. We think we're getting them in line, and then somebody comes along, it appears, and it's nudged and it's moved away, and we've got this deflection points, and we've got all sorts of things, balls going everywhere, right? We're juggling, and suddenly they're everywhere all over the floor. Why? It's because we've not learned to tackle the real source of our problems, which are our inner problems. What are our inner problems? Our inner problems are unpleasant feelings, our discontent, dissatisfaction. These are all parts of the mind. They're feelings that are coming from your mind, not from somebody else. And that's the disconnect that we've currently got. We believe that somebody else is responsible for our mind. I just said this to my son last night, right? He was annoyed with something I'd said to him. And, he was believing that I triggered that annoyance in his mind. And I said, listen, son, if I had that power to trigger annoyance, do you think I would trigger annoyance? No, I'd be triggering the opposite. I'd be triggering a happy, contented mind and child that isn't yearning for X, Y, and Z, whatever he was looking for last night at a particular time that wasn't suitable from a parent point of view. So the essence of what I'm trying to say with this great quote today, children have never been very good at listening to their elders, but they have never failed to imitate them, is that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. What is it you are exuding, and what is it you are demonstrating and giving as an example for those children? Or it could be your family or your close friends, your work colleagues, your staff, fill in the blank. This goes across the board. It is not just specific to children, although because we spend so much time generally with our children, it pays greater tribute in that regard because of the volume of time and the years that we're actually associated with them in our lives. So thank you for joining me. I hope you found that it benefited. It touches your heart. Great, because it touched mine and it's had a profound impact. It's still continued to have a profound impact. It's still something I'm training and working in, but I guarantee this, just the measurement that I've personally had in this last few months since learning this tool, if it's had an impact for me, I'm confident if you apply it, it will have an impact for you too. So thank you for joining me. Join me again tomorrow. We got our move for the week. And remember, your muscle health is my #1 priority. Farewell, take care, have a great day, and enjoy that sunshine.